Yes, can you hear me? The classic
Yes.
Zoom question. Great. So yeah, my name is Brian, Brian Mahulette. I live in Amsterdam, and I'm also part of the social media team. Um, and yeah, it might be somewhat of a boring topic, but yet it's so important, the GDPR, and especially when it comes to data protection, because we are an online educational platform. And we are a community interest company and ahead of the curve. And with growth comes responsibility. So it's also for us really important to go ahead from there, especially when it comes to protecting students, facilitators and partners, and protect the Bahasa Basudara brand. It's also important to mention that we currently are working on the rules and regulations document. So that will be a document for tutors and facilitators. And in this document, we will talk about dealing with minors, for example, privacy, communication, and other important rules you have to deal with when you are a tutor. So enough talking, but before we start the quiz, I would like to share the rules. You can read the question, but I will also say it out loud. For every question, you have 10 seconds to give an answer. Please make sure you will keep track of your own scores. So later on, we can see how you scored. There will be only 9 questions. And the first question is actually to check if you know some GDPR principles already or not. So ready, set, go. Are you aware of the EU General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR? I mean, this can be a difficult topic to wrap your head around at all, but just for us to check how our audience or tutors are doing regarding this topic. Let's see. It's almost 50-50 on yes, absolutely, or no idea. And it's also okay when it's no idea. I mean, it is a really hard topic and very broad. And as already mentioned, we will create a document that will help you to understand the principles. All right, on to the next question. How does the GDPR define personal data? Is that your IP address and all personal online information, any info relating to an identified or identifiable natural person, or your personal bank details and postal address? Yes. Still some 20 seconds, and I see 35% now for your IP address, almost 50% for any info relating to an identified or identifiable natural person. And we also have your personal bank details and postal address. 5 more seconds to vote. And the right answer is, like the majority already said, option B. Personal data is defined as any information relating to an identified or identifiable natural person. So that will, for example, be a name, ID, identification number, location data, online identifier, or like economic, cultural, and social identity. On to the third question. What is not personal data? An email address, such as info@company.com, name, identification number, location data, or an online identifier, or photographs of living people. We have 20 seconds to vote. And I see already 50% an email address, such as info@company.com, and photographs of living people. It's 50-50 almost again. And this could be a hard one. So we were talking about what is not personal data. And the right answer is option A on this one, since it's a company registration number. So you see that we're on the email address info@company.com. On to question number 4, and I hope you all still keep track on your own answers. Question number 4. I can send or share a phone number of a tutor, student, or anyone without asking them for permission. True or false? I already see a lot of false, and I guess I'm happy to see that. Still have a few more seconds to vote. I can send, share a phone number of a tutor, student, or anyone without asking them for permission. And well, luckily the majority gave the right answer. You cannot do this without asking them for permission, of course. On to question number 5. I can either record or take a screenshot of a Zoom meeting without picture, videos of the participants in it without consent. True or false? Here again, the majority for false. And this might be common sense, right? And quite obvious. But still, for example, in Instagram, we are tagged a lot in Instagram stories where we see print screens of Zoom calls, for example. But please make sure that when you share it or before you share it, that all the students agree with you sharing a photo or a print screen like this, because they're all in it. So yeah, the right answer on this one is false. Question number 6. What is not true about consent? It must be made clear to the individual how their data will be used. Option B, only share students, tutors' personal data you have consent for. Or option C, consent must be obtained before you contact students or tutors. So what is not true about consent? Five more seconds. And I see again the majority of you have it right. The right answer to this question is option C. So that consent must be obtained beforehand. That's not true. In your interaction with students, you can make clear to the individual how their data will be used. Same for sharing data, you need to ask for their permission. On to question number 7. For processing the data of individuals under 16 years of age, written consent of the individual is required. Consent is not mandatory. Or option C, consent must be given by the holder of parental responsibility over the individual. So written consent is not mandatory. I'm happy to see no one is voting on consent is not mandatory. And again, the majority of you got it right. The right answer to this one is option C. Consent must always be given by the holder of parental responsibility over individuals. Nice. I'm still doubting if you need a document. Let's see, question 8. Consent for processing personal data from citizens has to be handwritten, explicitly provided, or given by free will in a specific and informed format. Handwritten, explicitly provided, or given by free will in a specific and informed format. And again, since asking for consent and permission is one of our favorite topics, this question is also about consent again. We have 5 more seconds, but I can already see that the majority of you get it right. The right answer to this question is option C, given by free will in a specific and informed format. I mean, it should be really clear for them what kind of data will be shared. So no vague text at all. They also need to be informed about his or her right to withdraw the consent anytime. So this was question 8. On to the last question, question number 9. Just as an example, how strict corporate organizations need to be on GDPR principles, what is the highest fine to date that has been handed out for GDPR non-compliance? Is that 35 million, this is in euros actually, 35 million to Amazon in December 2020, 50 million to Google in January 2019, and 100 million euro to Google in December 2020. Just to see how strict they are regards corporate organizations. Nice. Again, the majority. The right answer is option C, 100 million euros to Google in December in 2020. And this is because they placed cookies without prior consent of the users and some other reasons in specific European countries, for example, for in France. The answer of the previous question I see in the chat, that was option C, given by free will in a specific and informed format. And specific and informed because it all needs to be clear for the students. So here, well, I saw a lot of good answers. So I guess all of you might be an 8 or 9 or 6 or 7. So you did great. And just again, we are working on a document that will help you as rules and regulations when it comes to tutors, facilitators, and working together with students on how to work with the data. So I guess no one of you is in a danger zone, to be fair. On to the last slide. If you cannot get enough of GDPR, here's some websites. Yeah, just check out the readings. And yeah. That was it.